Today we are reviewing a Salesforce to QuickBooks integration that we have set up. My name is Mark Crawford. I am a Salesforce director at CloudROI. We are a registered Salesforce consulting partner. And as I mentioned, we're going to go through the Salesforce to QuickBooks integration and cover how we can set that up from a direct point-to-point integration with no additional licenses or middleware software required to integrate the two systems. So for this presentation, we're going to go through some introductions. So we'll talk a little bit about who we are at CloudROI and how we drive value for our clients. From there, we'll discuss the integration features. So we'll cover some reasons to integrate with Salesforce with QuickBooks and some of the aspects and features that we can integrate between the two systems. We'll demo a live example of the integration specifically on invoicing clients, as we see that to be one of the most common use cases for the Salesforce and QuickBooks integration. And then we'll talk a little bit about next steps and how you can kick off getting your Salesforce integrated with QuickBooks. So a little bit about us today. So again, we are a Salesforce consulting partner. So we work with Salesforce headquarters directly to deliver implementation projects for our clients. We were founded in 2016 with the core mission of driving value from cloud software. We are headquartered in Florida. So we're in a small beach town called Madeira Beach. This is just on the outskirts of Tampa, Florida. We have clients in 5 different countries, including the United States, UK, Switzerland, Canada, and Mexico. Our focus for the firm is on really taking an innovative consulting approach to enhancing the capabilities of Salesforce and other AI platforms to really drive business transformation and really, again, coming back to our core value of driving value from those systems. We offer comprehensive consulting services, including strategy, implementation, integration, migration, and managed services, with a particular focus on Salesforce solutions, as we find it's the backbone for many companies for their entire IT stack. We serve various industries, including high-tech, professional, travels industries, transportation and logistics, construction, healthcare, manufacturing, public sector, consumer goods, and nonprofits, and several others. Some of our claim to fame or kind of the key aspects of our firm is that we really take pride in our client repeat rate. So our clients conduct repeat business with us at a rate almost double the industry average of 95%. 95% is our client repeat rate. It's above the industry average of 50%. We've successfully implemented deals that have resulted in over $8 million in consulting revenue with over 2,000 Salesforce users in the Salesforce implementation. We have an experienced team of 50 consultants with over 100 Salesforce certifications. Each team member has 5 years of experience or more, so we are a purely experienced team. We also have completed over 500 Salesforce projects, including implementation, managed services, and many others. And while doing that, we maintained a 4.98 customer satisfaction rating on the App Exchange, really reflecting the positive experience that we drive for our valued customers. We also are made up, a lot of folks in our firm are made up of Salesforce HQ alumni. So we've worked with Salesforce products really since 2016, and we work really closely with Salesforce headquarters, again, including several alumni being on our team. So as mentioned before, we are a Salesforce consulting partner. We offer comprehensive consulting services, including strategy, implementation, integration, migration, and managed services. Integration being the reason we're having this presentation today. We work in a lot of the core Salesforce products, such as Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and Experience Cloud. We also work in some of the niche Salesforce products like the industry clouds, Salesforce Maps, Einstein, field service, B2B commerce, and B2C commerce, Slack, some of the apps for mobile publisher for the PRM cloud, public sector, as well as public sector clouds, as well as Tableau. So we've worked in a lot of the Salesforce products and performing consulting services across all of them. So if you are looking for expertise in Salesforce or integration of Salesforce, we've got it. Next, let's go ahead and dive into the drivers of why you would want to integrate Salesforce and QBO. So, the Salesforce and QuickBooks are two of the most common utilized platforms by small businesses, even up to mid-size or mid-market businesses. And Salesforce driving the front end of the sales with all of the opportunities and quoting and estimate, and QuickBooks driving the accounting processes. And between the two systems, historically, there's not been a consistent way to integrate them. And this has caused a lot of companies to initially set up their systems to be completely separate from each other and to be handled manually, usually by a representative from the sales team and a representative from their accounting team, such as their bookkeeper or their accountant. And a lot of that, it usually involves manual data entry. So a lot of times involves someone handing a spreadsheet to someone else to hand key these things into QuickBooks. So let's say we have a spreadsheet of opportunities from Salesforce that we've closed and won with quotes attached to those opportunities. They would then take that spreadsheet, hand it to the accountant, and it would be up to the accountant to program all of that in, align it with your customer data, and figure out everything that needs to happen to make sure they get properly invoiced. This can lead to manual data entry errors and cause problems in your financial reports, as well as issues with your customers if they're getting billed the incorrect amounts, or if the services and whatnot are aligning, or your products and services. Just can cause a lot of issues with the manual data entry. Really, the biggest thing being that it can lead to overpaid expenses and underbilled invoices, which, as any business owner would know, it's a big problem, especially if it's just the result of moving a zero or a period into the wrong spot when you're inputting an invoice or an expense. So the first point being, we can eliminate some of that manual data entry error by integrating the two systems. In addition to that, you're going to, once you integrate the two systems, you would see some enhanced financial visibility. So you're going to gain real-time insight to your financials by syncing your Salesforce data with QuickBooks. This integration would provide a comprehensive view of your expenses, your customer interactions, anything tied to the overall billing and accounting process, as well as the sales process. This is going to lead to better strategic and financial decision making, as you'll have that information available to you either in QuickBooks reports and charts or in Salesforce reports and dashboards. And lastly, by integrating the two systems, you would streamline your invoicing and billing processes. So not only is this going to eliminate a lot of the errors or issues you may see with inputting this information manually, it's also going to increase the speed in which you can invoice and bill your clients and follow up with that invoicing and billing. Salesforce is renowned for its capability to manage teams through its chatter notifications, through its various email tools. And so you can trigger certain notifications when invoices are sent, when invoices are paid, when an invoice has an issue. So that way you can route that to the appropriate team member and handle that accordingly without having to involve your accountant in that situation. So there's a lot of benefits here that can streamline that invoice and billing process, getting your time down in terms of being able to receive payment on the services or products that you've provided to your clients. So moving forward here, let's talk about some of the features that can be integrated from Salesforce into QuickBooks. So in Salesforce, we've got some of the standard objects that you see on a day-to-day basis, such as your accounts, contacts, opportunities, quotes, and potentially invoices. Those all fall under invoicing your accounts and customers. And those can all be brought from Salesforce into QuickBooks so that you can have alignment of your sales and payment records between the two systems. This involves mapping Salesforce accounts, contacts, opportunities, products to QBO customers object. And the invoices can be mapped as well, depending on how you have that set up in Salesforce. And then from there, you can get some sales receipts that come back into Salesforce, again, notifying folks once things have been paid or processed, really streamlining that billing process. You can also track expenses and handle expense resolution through cases within Salesforce. It's very common for companies to integrate their Salesforce cases that have particular expenses tracked against them into QuickBooks. So you can get a real-time view of how much you have spent on particular projects or particular issues. You can also see that against your overall financial reporting to see how much it's costing you to maintain or to provide the support that those cases really represent. This also plays into systems like Field Service Lightning, where that is your primary expense is sending, potentially sending contractors out to client sites. You can integrate all of that expense data into QuickBooks. And then in addition to that, we also have various custom objects that can be implemented through Salesforce App Exchange or through custom solutions within Salesforce. Salesforce is a platform, and you really get the value out of it when you do customize it to meet your business model. So we see quite a lot in the terms of invoices, worker tracking, timesheets within Salesforce, and various custom objects. And so you can bring those into QuickBooks. For example, the workers and time tracking would be custom objects that you can bring in from Salesforce into QuickBooks to track that time and time activity in QuickBooks, which really relates to overall expenses and wages paid out from QuickBooks. You can also do custom objects outside of that. So if there's one you may be thinking of in your internal org, there definitely is a way for us to integrate that, and we would love to evaluate your org and take a look at that. We'll get to that in the next steps at the end of this presentation. All right, so that's the features, integration features that we can bring in from Salesforce to QuickBooks. Now we're going to go ahead and jump over to a live demonstration. Manoj Krishna, our application architect, is going to be clicking through the demonstration. So I'll have him share his screen here. Perfect. Okay. So for this demonstration today, we're going to be utilizing an account record in Salesforce and creating a customer in QuickBooks. And then from there, we will process an invoice for that customer and send it out via QuickBooks. So pulled up here on the screen, we have our client, Advanced Manufacturing. Advanced Manufacturing, we're going to assume that that is our client at CloudROI. We have provided Advanced Manufacturing some consulting services. In our terms, that is billable hours. So we bill our clients based on the hours we work, and we have generated some invoices that we would like to send them. Let's take a look first at the account itself. So advanced manufacturing here, we can see some of the account details. At the top, we have listed the account owner. That was the person that would receive any sort of notifications coming back and forth about the particular invoices for that. So we have Holly Thompson is set as our account owner. The account itself also has an AP contact listed in the details section here. That is the AP contact or accounts payable contact at Advanced Manufacturing that will receive the invoices. And then from there, we've got just the basic account information, such as the time zone of the account, the phone number, fax number, website, and so forth. In addition to that, we have if we scroll down in the additional information, we have some of the standard fields for Salesforce when it comes to the overall account type, the industry type, or the industry that the account is in. And then we also have two key fields here called payment terms and the customer or the QuickBooks customer ID. So the payment terms is set to net 30 for this customer, which means they will pay us the invoice within 30 days of receipt. You have several options for setting this according to the defaults and some of the customized payment terms within QuickBooks. So it could be net 15 due on receipt, net 45. It just depends on your business. And then the other field is the QuickBooks customer ID. This gets synced up once we create the customer within QuickBooks, which we can do all from Salesforce here. That gets synced up and pulls in that unique identifier to link the two systems together. So again, I mentioned we're going to go ahead and go through, we'll create the customer, and then we'll send the invoice. So I'll go ahead and have Manoj, if you want to click create a QB customer, we have a button at the top of the record here, and that will simply launch a flow that is going to create the QuickBooks customer record. So go ahead and click that, Manoj. Perfect. So we can see we got a success message saying the customer was created in QBO successfully. We'll click finish. And then let's jump over to QuickBooks and let's take a look at that customer record. Perfect. So we can see here the advanced manufacturing customer record has been created. Let's go ahead and click into that. Great. And we'll go into the customer details here. So you can see the customer name as well as the email of the AP contact, Harry White, has been brought over into QuickBooks. We got the phone number, the basic billing address information, all the information that we would need to add to an invoice, as well as those payment terms. So we've got the net 30 listed there. So from here, what we're going to do now that we have the customer created in QuickBooks and synced with Salesforce is we're going to go back into Salesforce. We're going to take a look at the account record. In this case, we have a custom object called invoices that has been created that is capturing all of the billable hours that we would bill to our client for the consulting services that we would provide that we are providing. So we'll go ahead and we're going to click into December's invoice. Now in December's invoice here, we're going to see we have a chatter notification off to the right that's saying, hey, this invoice has not been processed. Please review and process immediately. This is some of the great features that you get with Salesforce that you can automatically notify folks when a invoice has not been processed within the time frame as expected. So this is one of those great things that you can do to make sure people are staying on top of their invoices and submitting them correctly once you integrate the two systems together. So taking a look at the general information to the left of the invoice. So we have some basics around, what account is this invoice related to, what project and project contract is that under, and the statuses of that invoice. Because this invoice is in the status draft and it stayed in that status for too long, that's why we received that chatter notification. So looking further down the page here, we have the basic date information, what year and what month was this invoice targeted for, and what date should it be invoiced and sent out. So it should have been sent out on the 31st. You can see we're a little bit past that, about a month past that, so we want to send that out. Scrolling down a little further here, we have some important fields that will be brought into QuickBooks as part of the invoice. So we have a rate, which is our hourly rate that we will be processing on the invoice. We have the billable hours as well. How many hours did we work? And the total billable amount, which is a calculation of the billable hours times the rate. Then we also have the invoice hours breakdown here. That invoice hours breakdown contains the hours and is a description for our clients to see, hey, what do we do for them? How are these hours broken down? This is a custom set of functionality, but is used to demonstrate that we can bring in additional fields and description information into the invoice. So whatever you may have set up in your Salesforce, we can pull that information over. So what we're going to go ahead and do here, just like we did with the account, we also have a button at the top that says Create QB Invoice. We can go ahead and run that button. And this is manually, and just like to note that this is manually set up to where we are manually clicking these buttons for the purposes of the demo. However, this can all be automated. So at the end of the month, when you want to create all of your invoices, we can automatically run a process that'll ensure your customers are in sync and that the invoices get created. At that point, once they're created in QuickBooks, they can be passed off to your accountant to be fully sent out and to your clients. So we'll go ahead and click that Create a QB Invoice button here. Perfect. And so this has now the invoice has been sent to QB successfully. So we'll go ahead and click Finish, and then we'll jump over to QuickBooks and we'll refresh the page here. There we go. So we've got in the transaction list on the customer, we have the invoice. So we'll open that up. Let's go ahead and click Edit Invoice to get the full screen here. And we can see that we have brought in the invoice. We selected the customer email. This is going to be going to Harry White. We've got the payment terms of net 30, as well as the invoice date on here. In addition to that, on the line below, we see the Salesforce consulting. So we've got the milestone information that I was talking about earlier from the invoice that and Salesforce has been brought in, description information, as well as the quantity and the rate with the total amount. So at this point, you can either have your bookkeeper or your accountant save and send this. We can also set it up so that Salesforce can automatically save and send. So once this is brought in, and all of the fields are confirmed, it will automatically send it, so you don't even have to jump over to QuickBooks. But that covers the basics of the integration and the live demo. So why don't we go ahead and let's jump back to our presentation here. All right, and so that covers the basics of the demo as well as the presentation. If you'd like to get your Salesforce environment integrated with QuickBooks and enable any of the features we discussed today, feel free to reach out to us. We've got three primary contact methods. You can reach us at hello@cloudroi.com. You can call our direct number at 813-451-5191. And or you can go to our website and where you can submit one of our web to lead forms, and we'll reach out to you directly. What we'll do is we can set up an evaluation to take a look at your Salesforce setup, and then explore what possibilities you have in terms of integrating that Salesforce setup with QuickBooks. But thank you for your time today, and we look forward to working with you and streamlining your overall sales and accounting processes.